everyone. Welcome back to me. I am back in the shop. This is Northampton Wools. I'm Linda Daniels, the owner. And I have just returned from 10 days in Ireland, not just touring, but visiting a couple of yarn stores and taking classes with some of Ireland's top designers and knitters, and I want to share some of my thoughts on that with you. It's April 22nd, a really gorgeous Monday here in Northampton, Massachusetts. If you are watching, please say hi. I have set the camera up way too far away. I'm not even going to try to see, but Kate's here with me and she will be able to tell me if there's a question or comment that I might need to see. So I want to say hello to all of you. I can see it kind of starting to pop up and scroll. And Kate, if you'll just do one thing for me, there's a message that popped up on my phone that it just needs to disappear so I can see. That's it. Thank you. All right, we're ready. So first of all, I'm not gonna go day by day or play by play on about the Ireland trip. That would take me all day to actually tell you everything that we did and everything that we saw. But I do want to give you a few of what my kind of takeaways are for Ireland and what my feelings were about it, and just kind of let you know in general what we did. I took there were a total of 24 people, and most of them were knitters, but of varying levels. And we had a combination of typical miserable Ireland weather, heavy rain, high winds. It was kind of cold. And then at the very end, some absolutely beautiful weather. And we had heard from a lot of people that they were coming out of 40 days of rain. The farmers were upset because the fields were soaked and they had not had the sun. They still had the animals in the barns and we're waiting to be able to let them all out to graze. But some of the things that, the misperceptions that you might have about Ireland are that Ireland is full of sheep. Yes, it is, but it is not full of wool. It is not full of hand knitting wool, especially. It's kind of this seesaw effect of both good and bad. Ireland is booming. The economy is booming right now. People are doing really well. It's sort of a big turnaround. If you're interested in why, I would send you to some other place to find out the whole reasons about that. But we heard over and over again how well people were doing in their new economy with Brexit and the European Union. So they are now using euros and part of that whole conglomerate and doing a lot more exporting. The thing that struck me, however, is that the Irish people themselves have a long way to come in their own self-confidence and self-worth. We heard Ireland has this kind of stereotype of being very poor, which they were, of the people being incredibly poor, which they were, but they're coming out of that now, and they are not quite there yet in the sense of self-worth, and they have a long way to come. I'll talk about that a little bit further on, but most of the people are very, very happy and doing really well. Lots and lots of building of new houses, and the houses are really very interesting. We were lucky enough to go out to Inishmore, which is the largest of the Aran Islands, and have a class with a woman named Una, who made us realize that the island didn't even get electricity until the 1970s. That's mind-blowing, that these people lived without any electricity at all until the 70s. The houses have big, huge plate glass windows in almost every room because they tried to bring in as much light as they possibly could because they didn't have electricity. It was kerosene or fireplaces or candles or probably some generators, but even that was few and far between because it costs so much to get gas and oil and kerosene out to the islands. So that was really enlightening. The cities, we were in Galway and Killarney, are incredibly clean. There is a great deal of pride being taken in how beautiful the countryside is and in how clean their cities are. They call them tidy towns, and each town strives to make the tidy town list. Gardens that are gorgeous, houses that are kept up, no litter that you can actually see. And it is very windy, so maybe it all gets blown away, but the people are really being very, very careful and very, very prideful of the communities that they live in. In many ways, I felt like they were far advanced from the US. We saw outside of one store a set of bins to recycle batteries. Every kind of battery, just drop them in there. And I was amazed at that. They are very ecologically conscious. They're trying very hard to take care of the land, to be respectful of the air. The reforesting projects that they've done are really blooming. There are forests now in parts of Ireland that are so dark that you can hardly see into them. So they're doing an incredible job keeping their water clean, keeping the air clean, and keeping the streets as clean as possible. And it's important not just for their health, but for their industry, for the wool industry. There are two very separate kinds of wool industry going on right now. When you drive through Ireland, you see lots of sheep in almost wild kind of settings. They seem to be roaming free on the mountainside or in the pastures. And they have big painted splotches on them that the farmers use to identify which sheep are theirs. Basically, those fleeces are worthless. They do not shear them in order to make yarn out of them. They shear them for the comfort of the sheep, but they're raising those sheep for meat. And there is a nationwide effort now to figure out what to do with all of that fleece that doesn't get used. Just like here, they are trying to find ways to use the fleece and wool to make a sustainable insulation for homes and for fertilizer for gardens. So they're really working hard on that. The other type of sheep are, and those type of sheep also are black-faced sheep. The other type of sheep are white-faced, and they're called Galway sheep. If you follow the Grocery Girls, they were just there in Ireland, and they attended a lecture given by the Galway Wool Company. That is the up-and-coming place. They are really striving hard to make the Galway sheep a sustainable and feasible way to create Irish wool for Irish knitting or knitting worldwide. The other thing that's going to make it hard for them, or that it adds to the cost, is there's no grading or carding factories in Ireland. So they shear all of these Galway sheep and they have to ship it all to Britain, where it's graded and carded and kind of cleaned up a bit. And then it's shipped back to Ireland to the mills there in Donegal and in Kerry. And there are a couple of other older mills too. We did hear a lot about the Donegal mill, and we did visit the Kerry Woolen Mills. But that adds to the cost. So maybe someday they will be able to have their own grading and carding system right there on the island. So for years, people's expectation was that they would be able to, that you would go to Ireland and you would be able to find a yarn store on every corner and yarn, more yarn than you could possibly knit with, and it's just not true. It is there, but it is hard to find. And I just want to point out, this is one of the pieces that I did buy. This is a poncho that was knit in Ireland with Irish wool, and it's the one actual piece of clothing that I bought. There, I really do like it. But of course, you can find lots and lots and lots of Irish knit sweaters. So where do they come from? We were lucky enough to take a class with a woman named Anne O'Malley, and she and her family have been in business for over 86 years. She and her husband have a store in the center of Galway, and they are about to close. Her health is a little bit compromised. Her hips are really slowing her down, and she can't stay on her feet all that much longer. But she has spent her lifetime not just running the store, but promoting and employing the women of Ireland and on the islands, the Aran Islands, in knitting the things that she sells in the store. And you can really tell the difference. It is absolutely amazing. We had the most incredible class with her that basically had me in tears. And I had a chance to speak with her privately, and she told me that when I said I was from Massachusetts, she said, "What part?" I said, "Western Mass." And she said, "Well, where in Western Mass? I know Western Mass." And I said, "Well, past Springfield." She said, "Yes, where past Springfield? I know Western Mass." I said, "Northampton." And she said, "Well, what shop do you have in Northampton? I know Northampton." And when I said Northampton Wools, her mouth dropped and she said, "I've been in your store." And I nearly fainted. She has a cousin that lives in Goshen that she comes to visit, and her daughter lives in Boston. So she's a regular visitor to Massachusetts. And she said that she had been in the store and that she had even bought a skein of yarn.
Oh my gosh.
So I feel like we really connected. She is tough, but so incredibly knowledgeable. I wish we could have spent 5 more hours just listening to her stories. She has helped these women not only provide for their families with another income, a way to knit and make sweaters, but also with an incredible amount of self-confidence. She told stories about women who had never knit professionally, come to her, and she's hard. You better be good at what you're doing. She'll get you there, but if you want to make a sweater for her or knit for her, you better know what you're doing. But she's also very free with praise. And in some instances, the praise that they got from Anne O'Malley might have been the very first praise they got in their entire life. It was eye-opening to listen to her talk about what life in Ireland has been like these last few years. She and her husband, Jer, like I said, are retiring. Their store was open, so we were able to go to the store after class and fill our arms with yarn. I bought yarn there for my personal stash to turn into sweaters. And this is the typical Shannon yarn this is called Atlantic Coast yarn, spun in Ireland. So this is a yarn that would go back and forth to Britain, but finally finish its dyeing process in the Donegal Mills. There are little specks of color in it. And this also has been blended with cashmere, so it's a little bit softer, cashmere and silk, a little bit softer than the real traditional Irish yarn, which I have to say is really pretty rough. This one also was spun in Donegal, is 100% wool, and you can feel the different roughness in it. We knit in her class with the Studio Donegal, also spun in the Donegal Mill in Clare. And I'll tell you the truth, you gotta love wool, real authentic wool, to be able to knit and wear this stuff. I'm treasuring it. We did a couple of different things in class with her. This is the start of the project that she gave us with some very traditional cable designs. And she said that all of her knitters, all of them, work without patterns. They do not have a written word at all that they follow. They basically work with gauge and cable patterns that they know by heart and just put together in all kinds of different combinations. She's just an amazing woman, very smart businesswoman, has been to many, economic summits, spoken about the Irish economy to in many different countries, And when we were in the store, two young women, in their 30s, came in and loaded their arms up with wool. And we had a line a mile long, and they ended up in the middle of the line. And she took the time to talk to those two young women because they had been sent there by their mother, who knew that Anne was going out of business, to buy all that they could carry.
Oh, really?
And when they told Anne who they were, she immediately pulled out a Japanese book. It's all written in Japanese. The Japanese publisher had come to the island a few years ago and really wrote an entire book about the whole hand knitting industry there, and had pictures of all of the knitters, including Anne. And she started to show the pictures to the young women, who then said, yeah, that's Gran's living room right there. And that's Gran sitting and knitting. It was so touching. And she made the whole line wait while she spoke with these people. Unbelievable. Our fingers are crossed that her health improves, because she said she was planning a trip this fall and that she would definitely be out here, and that she would let me know when she's coming and we would be able to have her as a speaker one night. I don't want her to try to teach a class. I just want her to sit and tell stories. It was amazing. The other class that we had was on the island on Inishmore, was with Una, whose last name I can't pronounce, so I'm not going to. But she gave us a pattern for what will become a little wine cozy. And this is traditional Irish cables that they use there on the island. Of course, there are many, many more. And this would be buttoned and put a wine bottle inside there. We are going to do a bunch of different things with the patterns that she gave us. This one particular cable right here is much more complicated than anything that we have done. It's an in and out cable. So that was really very fun and really very beautiful. The living room that we were in, it was like a separate building, but it was big and spacious and really light. With those big windows, it really shed a lot of light into the classroom, so it was really very easy to see. So we did that class, we did Anne O'Malley's class, and then we had 3 days with Carol Feller, who I think of as the new modern Irish knitting. Carol lives in Cork and spent a couple of days with us teaching a class. And her class, she gave us yarn and a cable pattern for a cowl, which I'm only part way through, but can you see that cable that's showing up? Kate?
Yeah, it is.
Too far for me to see clearly. But Carol also is having yarn made for her name, and we're going to be able to get some of it. This is Nua, which is one of the softer lines because it's blended with linen, which you can see in the yarn. If you see those little white hairy things, that's the linen, and a little bit of alpaca and wool. And Carol was lovely. We had a wonderful time together. We spent a lot of time, just she and I together, and I did record an interview with her, which I will be posting on the YouTube channel separate from any of the lives. I didn't interview her live. I interviewed her in a field, and in the middle of our interview, a cow walks behind us and just stands there and looks at us. So it was pretty fun, pretty fun. The food on this trip was amazing. It was, we ate so much and so well. The hotels were fantastic. Everybody was really happy with the hotels that we were in, even though we had to ask for how-to instructions from the hotel staff on how to work our showers, because nobody could figure out how to get the showers, itchy, to actually work. So I did buy yarn, I did a little bit of the knitting in class, and I also bought a piece of lace. So our tour guide, Mairead, when we went through Kenmare, told us that it's actually lace that's getting very popular, and it's really having a resurgence. And this particular lace is crocheted and can only be hand done.
Wow.
And so now Kenmare is getting very well known. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. It is. It's Kenmare. So I bought this little round piece. I'm going to do a window where I show everything that I bought in Ireland, but isn't that spectacular? I want to put this on one of those big round metal rings
that we
have and hang it in the window. It really, really is beautiful and filled with little three-dimensional flowers that stick up. It's rough because it's been starched to really hold the shape of the lace. So I love lace anyway, so I was really, really happy to find all of that. I did buy myself a mug. Yoo-hoo! There's my new Ireland mug. You'll see me with this off and on. And I bought soap. I bought soap because the soap in the hotel bathroom was exquisite and they had it for sale. Really rich in lanolin. I mean, that's the number one thing they should be selling is this lanolin rich soap. So that took care of a lot of my purchases. What is that? Oh, that's the bottom of the thing. What did I knit when I was there? Because we did have knitting time. Well, I finished some stuff. I finished the Dream in Color.
Oh, that's an oldie.
It's an oldie. And I had grabbed a couple of oldie things that were still on needles. But you can see by the time I got there, I think I did 3 rows of bobbles and then said, forget it. And I just put garter stitch at the bottom.
The border on the bottom.
I do too. I'm pretty happy with how that came out. So I was able to finish that. I finished a hat, which I didn't bring, but I'll show you next week. And the big thing that I finished was my loom. It's called Lumme, and I'm knitting it with Madeline Tosh. And I finished the body and I finished one sleeve. So this is in the works and just about to be done. Ooh. And man, am I happy with how this came out. Isn't it gorgeous?
I love the cuff.
Love it, love it, love it. So that's the main knitting that I did when I was there. So if you want, I will talk more about the trip off and on, but we had such a wonderful tour guide. Mairead was her name, and an absolutely delightful bus driver. Kenny was his name, and he was fantastic. I just want to see what our time was. Oh. So I lead in. Sorry. And when we visited Kerry Woolen Mills, I'm not sure that you can definitely visit the store. I'm not sure you can get the kind of tour that we got through the actual mill, because it is a big old machinery running, but it is one of the oldest operating mills in Ireland, and that is where they get the fleece and they process it into yarn, and they then make blankets, weave scarves, and they do some hand knit stuff there as well. So we were given a tour of the factory, saw the way the machinery was operated and ran, and then were let loose in the store. And let loose is the word. And of course they had a little basket of seconds out in the back. And I had an idea of something that I wanted to do with fabric from that mill. And I was able to find 3 pieces that were, one of them had a hole, one of them wasn't perfect, that kind of thing. So when I got up to the desk, I asked if they, in addition to that, if they had any scraps of material. So they brought out a relatively small box. She said that because they make mostly square or rectangular blankets or scarves, they don't really have a lot of scraps left. But I was able to find some pieces that I really loved. And that night, I always travel with a sewing kit in addition to my knitting supplies. I made something for both Kenny and for Mairead and gave it to them. And I have some here because I'm going to continue to make them because I have enough fabric to make probably 100 of them, and we'll be able to sell them here in the shop. But they are these little sheep ornaments. The material is from the Kerry Woolen Mill. It is all wool, and then the legs and head and tail are knit by me and put all together with a little hanger. So aren't they cute? They're so darn cute. Well, Kenny took his and taped it to the front window of the bus. And if you were on the trip with me, I just want to tell you that I did get a text message from Kenny yesterday, making sure that we all got home safely. He said, I didn't hear of any plane crash, so I'm assuming you're all home. And what a delight it was he was so delighted to have us as part of his tour. He was really very, very kind. And that he will keep Wooly, is what he named it, keep it in his bus for safe travels and some entertainment. So in general, oh, the one other thing, we did also have a whiskey tasting, which was, as you can imagine, really fun.
I bet it got real punchy.
But this was an eye-opener. The place that we had the whiskey tasting also paired a little square of chocolate with each of the 4 different whiskeys. And, you know, if you're a whiskey drinker, you know whiskey can be a little burny. And the chocolate, after we took the sip of whiskey and then a bite of chocolate, it was amazing. And so I just want to tell you right now, I'm not much of a whiskey drinker, but from now on, that's the only way I'm going to eat my chocolate. It was an awful lot of fun. I didn't bring any home though. I left it there for the next person. Okay, so that's a quick kind of overview. I will gladly talk to any of you. I hope you saw some of the Instagram posts. It was beautiful. Sometimes the pictures just could not capture how expansive and beautiful the scenery was. And guess what? I'm back in the shop. We're back in our hours. And Saturday, this Saturday, the 27th, is local yarn store day. So we got to gear up to get ready for all of that. First of all, as usual, Casa Pinka will be offering a free pattern code. If you buy 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn here in the shop to make this cowl, you will get the code for the free pattern. And I was going to grab a skein of the Ruby and Roses, 2 that go together with one of the pink. As you can imagine, there was a ton of stuff to catch up on when I came in today, so I didn't quite get everything together. But this would be a great way to use up or to experiment or have your first kind of go with the Ruby and Roses fingering weight yarn. Look at those really beautiful colors together. And this yarn really feels nice. So that's one of the 3 patterns with purchase. And then we just got an email from Malbrigo. They are also doing free coupon codes when you purchase yarn, but you don't have to get a code and go to the website. You can get this, I think it's going to be right on Ravelry. So we'll cut these and give you one of these so that you can get the pattern when you purchase the yarn. So this first one is done with Rios, and I haven't seen the actual directions yet, so I can't really tell you much more than that, but it's this cowl. And then they're also doing this nice big one in Rasta, which I think looks fantastic. It's a great way to use Rasta. And then the Dos Tierras is this cowl, or the Macheta. And the last one that they're doing is actually a crochet pattern that looks knit, but this is done with their sock weight yarn. So you can also take part, if you are so inclined, and buy any of those, and you will get a free pattern. We are going to be doing the cotton shawl pattern. This is with the Cumulus Rainbow that I've shown you before. We've got plenty of inventory in the different colors in that yarn, and then we're also bringing out the Beat Street collection, all the kits, the new kits that we just got in from them. It's a thin hemp. There's a lot of hemp, a lot of linen,
Silk.
and a lot of silk in those kits. I took that with me, but I didn't get very far. So, and Kate is working on one, and she's kind of halfway there. We'll have them here so that you can see what they're like. And I do still have a model left from before as well, so you'll be able to see all of those. We're going to have pins. I think we have about 51 pins. For anybody that makes a purchase, you will get a local yarn store day pin, the same kind of thing that we handed out last year for free, so you can begin your collection of local yarn store. And we're going to be giving away stickers, knit local and local yarn store day stickers, to everybody that comes in. You don't have to make a purchase. And then a very special gift for the first 30 people that spend $25, you will get a free kit from Plymouth Yarn for a cowl in their Ariado.
Can I show it?
If you've got it right there, yeah. Kate's gonna, I think I put it away.
We'll be posting videos all week.
Yeah, look for our Instagram post this week where you will see a little bit of everything. And that's kind of where I want to end my little live today, is talking about just what does local yarn store day mean. There was an article that Gail Hurley shared with me about Anne and Jair's O'Malley's retiring and closing the store. And the article was lovely and well written. She is an icon in Ireland as far as the knitting and business goes. And when I looked at the comments, I was heartbroken for her, because the comments were mean in some cases, and similar to the kind of comments that I see about Northampton, that Galway is dying. Another classic Galway store closing its door because there isn't enough business, or it's too hard to shop in Galway. We hear all those same comments about Northampton. It's too hard to park. You might get a ticket. There's nothing open. Business is dying. And it's not true. It's just not true. If you've come to Northampton, you have seen new businesses open all over the place this year. Plum 413, who just opened up on Main Street, moved her store down here from Greenfield. And I hope she is going to enjoy a really busy summer season. And it's so disheartening as a business owner to see those kind of comments floating all around, because the truth is we depend on you. And if consumers are not taking the time to come downtown and see what's around, then yeah, we won't be here for very long. That's not why Anne's going out of business. That's certainly not, when the day comes, there won't be the reason why I'm closing the doors or whatever. It's not happening. I'm staying. But it affects people's perception of what shopping local means. We depend on you. We depend on our local customers. Yeah, we get a lot of out-of-towners too, but it's really the people that know us and that think about us first. And especially if you use cash, because if you pay with cash, I can take my share of that cash, take it to the local farmer's market, and keep it cash. When you use a credit card, every single time you do, it chips away at the value of that money that you spend until eventually it's nothing. It really eats away at it. And the credit card companies and banks are the ones that are getting richer. So whether I'm your local yarn store or not, chances are whatever store is, it's the owner of that store that's behind the counter. And for many of the younger stores, it's the only person in that shop. And I did my share of being the only person here for a very long time. So I'm really very grateful and very fortunate to have the team that I have now. But I wouldn't have been able to do it if it weren't for the consumers out there, for you guys who believed in me, believed in the product, believed in the quality that I was able to offer you. And I really, really hope that you will continue in that kind of support, because I'm loving every minute of my life here now, and I cannot wait to share as much as possible with all of you. So go out and support local yarn stores wherever they may be, whichever is your favorite. Show them some love this Saturday, and we'll all be happy in the long run, because it means we can bring you even more and better yarn. The one thing that I am sad about is that H&H America, the yarn trade show, is next week, and I just can't get there this year. It's too close to the travel that I did in Ireland, and I'll just be too exhausted to do it. But we've got lots of fun things that I'm looking at for fall already in the works. Plymouth Yarn just sent me the preview of the booklet that they've done with the sweaters that I designed for them, so we're looking forward to that a lot as well. Okay, enough of my blabbing, you guys. It's still cold. I thought it would be so warm when we got back.
It's still chilly.
Still so chilly. So you know what that means? It means you can still go knit something. Bye.